Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-add reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. Ease me, see that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase with Picatinny rail adapters, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15 like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more and see me shooting a flamethrower. And lastly, trying to get 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so you can click that button and tell your friends and your enemies. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have some sad news for Lotus. They are doing more layoffs. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Motor1.com. And they say, quote, Lotus is slashing jobs in the UK, a punch in the stomach. Lotus's anticipated revival under Geely has faced significant challenges. Now tariffs are upending its business, which a revival by taking a business that's best known for making fun track cars that were lightweight, manual transmission, actually, well, for the engine, reliable because it was a Toyota, then saying we're going to make an EV company out of this company. The anticipated revival? No. I mean, maybe dark humor to laugh at this, but most enthusiasts saw the writing on the wall. Lotus is not going to make it if they go all in on EVs. It's just not going to happen. And I think that's one of the variables, one of the reasons why they're starting to suffer. There you can see one of the iconic Lotus logos there on the screen. And again, it's credited to Motor1.com, specifically Chris Perkins. And they say, quote, Lotus's rebirth under Geely ownership has been moving slow. The Amero sports car showed plenty of promise, but it was hampered by production delays and a higher price than initially promised, which, again, they do have at least a V6 with a stick shift. It's pretty fun, but again, it's a little too heavy compared to what Lotus used to stand for. And the price tag is comical. I think it's like $80,000 to $90,000. But again, I know now it's basically an antique, but the Lotus Elise, I mean, that was, to me, where they peaked in terms of popularity, performance, in terms of being a dedicated track car, and being light. I mean, it's basically like a British Mazda Miata. Though it had a Japanese heart, with the Toyota power plant in there. But I think that's where they kind of peaked. They've been kind of going downhill ever since. Now, they say the Emeya and Elantra, the EVs, haven't been pretty popular either, which, yeah, it says, and being made in China, well, at least that's how I always read it, they are prohibitively expensive thanks to tariffs. Now Lotus is making huge job cuts because, yeah, EVs, they don't make any money except for Tesla. To Elon's credit, they've somehow made a profit on EVs. Partially thanks to government subsidies, but nevertheless, EVs lose money left and right. And Lotus is trying to compete with EVs, where EVs, let's be honest, are glorified smartphones from China that can be easily ripped off, replicated. You're not going to beat them in that game. Most companies are all losing money when it comes to their EVs. And Lotus going from a enthusiast brand, trying to go mainstream, which, again, I think Porsche is the only luxury kind of sports brand that really is historically successful, going from, again, we're making the great 911, we're making some great small sports cars, they're going to make an SUV. They actually, and of course SUVs are largely profitable, they've actually done really well with the SUVs and crossovers at Porsche. It makes me smile to think that there was a time where you can get a V8 stick shift SUV from Porsche. Unfortunately, not so much these days. And again, Porsche on their EV SUVs, still losing money. But Lotus making SUV, maybe, but not an EV. Now, they say, quote, the BBC reports that Lotus is making 550 job cuts at the Hedsale UK headquarters, which has around 1,300 employees total. In a statement, the automaker said, quote, we believe this is necessary in order to secure a sustainable future for the company in today's rapidly evolving automotive environment, which is seeing uncertainty with rapid changes in the global policies, including tariffs. Unquote. They did say that Lotus did affirm its commitment to the UK and said that Heathrow, which the automaker opened in 1966, will remain open for its sports car, motorsports, and engineering consultative operations. Unquote. In addition, the company said it is, quote, actively exploring future growth opportunities to diversify Lotus's car business model, including third-party manufacturing, which, again, there's been some good Lotus engineers throughout the years. Don't get me wrong; they've had some great, collaborations throughout history, but I don't think that's going to be what saves Lotus. Now, they say that, quote, we've reached out to Lotus to find out whether job cuts are primary in manufacturing. The automaker previously cut 270 jobs in Hochschild back in February. It did post a $200 million loss in the first half of 2024, despite some sales momentum. And the outlook and the outlook for the automotive industry was a lot different a year ago than it is now. Labor movement of Parliament for South Norfolk, Ben Goltensberg, described the news as a punch to the stomach. However, he did add that the worst case scenario has been avoided, which is a complete and utter closure of Lotus UK. Unquote. Despite its being regarded among enthusiasts, Lotus has always been in some state of financial trouble, especially since the death of the founder, Colin Chapman, in 1982. Geely's initially successful and hands-off stewardship of Volvo got many feeling optimistic when it acquired Lotus in 2017, but now the future looks bleak for the iconic sports car brand, which... And again, they've had an up and down trajectory throughout the years. And they're trying to do a lot. And again, there are some issues in terms of Lotus is being forced to make EVs. That has a lot of totalitarian evil governments around the globe, forcing these automotive companies to make things in which they lose money, and China's going to beat them inevitably because of that. Because China rips off tech better than anyone else on the planet. So Lotus is being forced to make EVs. I know that's, they don't want to necessarily. But... I'm just thinking, like, what's the compelling reason to buy a Lotus? They used to be the sports cars, which, again, I've already noted the Elise being one of the coolest ones out there. But the newer one, again, it's nearly $100,000. And again, I love the fact there's a stick shift. I love that. It's very rare these days. Very rare, exceedingly rare. So it's good in that regard. But again, if I was a millionaire, if I somehow got a $100,000 check in my pocket, well, that'd be awesome. I'd probably do a house or down payment for a house. But nevertheless, let's say I had to buy a sports car. And I had to spend $100,000 on it. Well, for me, you know me, it's going to be green because I like green cars, but in seriousness, it's going to be gas-powered, going to have a stick shift, and it'll be a fun track toy. Now, what would I pick? A Lotus for $100,000, where you do get a gas engine, you do get a stick shift, get an okay interior. The design, it doesn't look too bad. They got some fun colors to choose from. Or would I choose a Porsche? I mean, that $100,000 is almost enough for an entry-level Porsche 911 these days. Unfortunately, not enough for the Carrera T, which is the track version of the stick. But, and I know it's not, apples to apples. They used Lotus still around $80,000 to $90,000. At that price point, you get a used Porsche 911 with a stick shift. That's going to have a lot better support in terms of, not just buying it, but servicing the vehicle, getting parts of the vehicle. I mean, there's a whole community around Porsche. I mean, Porsche Club America is a thing. So you're going to be taken care of. And again, Porsche, they'll service vehicles for decades. Granted, it might cost you an arm and a leg. They'll still service and help maintain your vehicle. Lotus in the U.S. infrastructure in terms of the dealership networks, repair networks, that's always been spotty, to say the least. And again, there's some reliable parts of the car, mainly the Toyota parts. But what's the compelling reason to buy it? It's no longer the very lightweight, fun track toy. If you want that, realistically, in the United States these days, really, you just have the Mazda Miata, which is that's a great, fun car. Say those around $40,000. And again, there's something to be said about the racing heritage of Lotus. Some people like the British aspect of it. Comparing it to an Aston Martin is a lot cheaper than that. So it's cheaper than other, British fancy vehicles. But I don't think there's enough of those people to actually sustain the company with the previous business plans they've had. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to Lotus. And again, I hope they make it. You always want more competition, more in the free market, more consumers, or more choice to consumers. But I mean, hopefully this is the last layoff they have to do, and I do hope they get back to the roots of the company and leaning more into the enthusiasts. And again, I know they probably will have to make an SUV just to try to bolster some of the profits, like nearly every automotive company has. Maybe somehow they find some success in that category, though I'm pretty skeptical that consumers will fleet towards it. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, and a comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone, everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.